All right, looking at RStudio, one of the things I like to do usually when I start a session is clear out any old variables. So I'll use this command here, rm list equals ls, which essentially says, get me a list of all of the variables that I've got in my environment. And then it runs it or throws them or essentially passes them to the remove function. So if I run this, it'll go through and clear out all of my global variables. So let's take a look at some conventions we have. So we'll start with things like Camel Case. Okay, so you may see something like this. My var1, assign it 10. Okay, and so you see here we start with a lowercase m and then an uppercase v in the myvar. So that's kind of a typical Camel Case. Something you'll see used in R that you usually don't see in other languages for obvious reasons is dot notation. Okay, R likes to, or a number of R developers like to use dot notation for their variables. So they might do something like this, myvar.1, which is, in object-oriented worlds, you'll see that as an attribute. But in R, sometimes it's just some additional functionality sake. They'll use it in the way that other developers might use the underscore. So you'll say something like this, myvar.1, and then assign that. And so you can see we have two distinct variables here, myvar.1 along with myvar1. So that's R dot notation. Now you want to notice that case is important, okay? So we want to check this out. Let's try this. So case is important. So what if we try to do this? Print myvar1, okay? And if we run this, you'll see we get an error because this particular variable does not exist. So you've got to be aware of the fact that case is an issue. Fortunately, with IntelliSense, as you're typing, it'll usually prompt you and give you an idea about certain variables that are close. And so it makes it much easier. It's a much more helpful thing. All right. So next, let's take a look at types. All right, we have for certain variable types. We discussed this earlier. So there are two ways to test for type. We have two different options here. We have class and mode. And so suppose we look at our first variable here, class my var1, say. And you can see that because we used a number to do the original assignment, that myvar1 has been automatically typed as a numeric variable. However, as I mentioned, types can be dynamic. So how does that work? Well, let's take a look at our variable, myvar1, and let's change it. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll say myvar1, and now let's assign it our usual hello world. Okay, we run that, and now you can see myvar1 has changed to hello world. Not only that, we can run, say in this case we'll use mode. Okay, and you notice I mistyped the capitalization, but fortunately IntelliSense will correct it for me. And now you can see that now the type is character. Okay, so we actually have a situation where types can change on the fly in R. Once again, I kind of caution you not to do that unless it really, really makes sense in the code for some very obvious reasons. Now, also, let's take a look at some of our workspace changes. Now, remember here, I was able to remove all of the variables. I could do that, but if I wanted to just remove a single variable, I can do that too. And we just use the rm function, and in quotes, you type the name of your variable. So in this case, myvar1. So if I go through and run this, then it removes just that one single variable.